Good afternoon and welcome to the 10th and final part of our series, Conversations with the College. My name is Greg Fansler, and I serve as Executive Director of Engagement and Alumni Relations. And I'm just thrilled for this opportunity to be with you this afternoon. We created this series, Conversations with the College, to give alumni the opportunity to connect with and hear from our college deans and the Vice President of Student Affairs. These senior leaders are excited and have been able to connect with you to share what is happening on campus today. These conversations have been meant to celebrate some of our recent achievements and to paint the picture for really what the future holds here at Missouri State. The conversation with the colleges have demonstrated impact of that alumni and friends have had on their respective colleges and academic units as part of our Onward Upward campaign. Now, the Onward Upward campaign has translated into new buildings, scholarships, and professorships, and so much more. And we want to take the time to thank all of you who have supported Missouri State throughout the Capitol campaign and for tuning into today's conversation with the Vice President of Student Affairs, Dee Siscoe. I would like to, before I call her on and introduce her, I'd like to first give a big shout out and thank you to Angie Rowe, who's our Advancement Strategic Communication Specialist and who helped coordinate this series. Angie, appreciate your support and effort. Thanks for what you do. So it's my pleasure to begin to introduce our Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Dee Siscoe. Dee joined Missouri State as the Vice President for Student Affairs in 2013. And she drew on then her 20 plus years of experience within the higher education realm and brought enthusiasm and new ideas and has shaped the student affairs experience here at Missouri State over the last decade. Dr. Siscoe is an alumna of Missouri State. She received her bachelor's degree here, and then she went on to receive her master's degree in student personnel and higher education from the University of Florida. And then she received her doctorate in higher education administration from the University of North Texas. Prior to returning to Missouri State, Dr. Siscoe served in a number of positions in institutions across the nation. These positions included serving as interim vice president of student affairs at the University of South Florida, as well as associate vice president for student affairs at the University of South Florida. She served as associate vice president for student affairs and dean of student life at Southern Methodist University and associate vice president for student life at Texas Women's University. Dr. Siscoe draws on professional teaching experience after serving as an adjunct faculty member at 4 different institutions. And today, she serves as an assistant vice professor in the College of Education, which is in the program that is Student Affairs Higher Education Graduate Program. So, Dr. Siscoe, thank you for being with us this afternoon, and we look forward to hearing from you and what's happening in student affairs here at Missouri State. For those of you who are joining and you haven't been on one of these series yet, know that at the end of Dr. Siscoe's presentation, we're going to be able to connect with you and you'll be able to ask her questions. Please use the Q&A function or the chat. When she's through with her presentation, I'll come back on and help facilitate those, and then we'll close out the hour. So Dr. Siscoe, the group's yours. Take it away.
Great. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for that nice introduction. And thank you for inviting me to participate in this alumni Zoom conversation series. I think I have my screen shared at this point. Can you see my PowerPoint?
We're good.
Excellent. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today as we talk about the Division of Student Affairs. I appreciate the opportunity to share some information about the student experience and some of what makes Missouri State a great place for our students to learn and grow. I thought I'd start with a little overview of the Division of Student Affairs, then share some accomplishments that we're proud of. Then I'll finish up by talking about priorities that we're working on for the future. I have a lot to share, so I'm going to just jump right in. The Division of Student Affairs is a pretty broad grouping of important programs and services that help our students be successful here. You'll note that our vision is, and everyone on campus knows this, but our vision is that we're champions for student success. In other words, the work that we do with and for students is designed to support their continued academic progress, foster their engagement with the campus and others, inspire their commitment to public affairs, and instill pride in traditions. You know, I have the pleasure of working with an outstanding team of professionals. The Division of Student Affairs is one of the largest units on campus with about 400 full-time staff and over 1,200 part-time and student employees. So when I try to tell people what and who the Division of Student Affairs is, I like to explain that we're a group of professionals that work with students really from the point of inquiry about possible admission to the university through their entire college experience and starting a career and beyond. Here's a list on my slides of all the units that make up the Division of Student Affairs. And so I'm going to talk about programs, services, and initiatives that fall within these 24 departments and 37 functional areas. Now, obviously, I can't do justice to covering all these areas, so I'll plan to hit some highlights, focusing on initiatives and progress that's been made in the last few years, especially with the support of the Onward Upward campaign. And if you want to hear about anything else in more detail, just let me know. So I'm going to start off by talking about exciting initiatives and progress we've made. And I have a list here. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list, but one which shows some progress. So for example, we have a new multicultural resource center on campus named the Mary Jean Price Walls Multicultural Resource Center. We completed the first phase of this project on the first floor of the Plaster Student Union at the beginning of the academic year. The space was designed by students working with Dakewell's architecture firm and Sophiac Solutions, which is a change management consulting firm. And the new space, you know, it's beautiful and already quite popular with the students. It's a great place for them to study, to hold organization meetings, to congregate with friends, to meet with advisors, to hold programs, and so much more. The center houses a room of reflection, a transitions closet, a resource library, a computer lab, and lots of common space. The initial space was designed with the possibility of a phase 2 when funding is obtained. So phase 2 is planned to include additional 15,000 square feet to the Plaster Student Union expanding meeting and engagement space. So stay tuned on that project. I do have a picture of some of the lounge space on my slide here. It's the top picture. This shows some of the lounge space in the MRC. The second picture that's shown here on my slide is the new Office of Student Engagement, which also got a facelift this year and was relocated to another area of the first floor of the PSU, where the old bowling alley was located. The Office of Student Engagement houses Fraternity and Sorority Life, Homecoming, Most State Lead, Student Activities Council, Transfer and Commuter Programs, Traditions Council, and over 350 student organizations. So that you can see the picture at the bottom of my slide here too. And I want to talk about many of these other bullets that I have listed on my slide, but I have separate slides for them. So we'll start here with the NPHC Plots. You probably know that the National Panhellenic Conference is a collaborative organization of 9 historically African-American Greek letter fraternities and sororities known as the Divine Nine. We're proud to say that MSU has 5 of the 9 organizations currently active and engaged on campus. We started this plot project back in 2018 by raising money so that we could construct a space that would represent each of the NPHC organizations and give space for alumni and students to gather and to reflect and to celebrate. Since the NPHC chapters here at MSU do not have houses like our other FSL groups, the plots create a physical and symbolic presence on the campus. Now I'm showing the Oldham Family Veterans Student Center, which provides service to all military affiliated students by helping empower them to successfully transition to college and equip them to be productive in the civilian workforce. This center is also located on the first floor of the library and includes a comfortable lounge and computer lab space for students to hang out and congregate in between classes and to hold events. The staff in the center provide a variety of resources to the students, including helping with their VA education benefits. Now, this is Major's Family Health and Wellness Center, and we are so fortunate to have them here on campus. It serves as the medical home for faculty, staff, students, and dependents. Our medical and professional staff are dedicated to providing quality health and preventative care at a minimum cost. You know, only 11% of college health centers in the country are accredited by the Accreditation Association for Ambulatory Healthcare, that's AAAHC. And I'm proud to say that our center is and has been accredited by them for the last 26 years. I also want to brag a little bit about our team over there because they really provided incredible care for our community during the whole COVID pandemic. Our team provided over 17,000 COVID vaccines, and they engaged in providing over 9,600 COVID tests so far. Now, I have several things on this slide that I want to talk about. I'll start first with degree completion assistance and student emergency funds. These are one-time grants designed to assist students who experience circumstances that prevent them from either continuing their enrollment or from registering for a future semester or from graduating from the university. Now, unfortunately, during COVID, we had many students who needed this type of support for things like internet coverage, access to technology, and healthcare. So thanks to the generosity of many, we were able to help numerous students stay in school and to proceed to graduation. I also have scholarships on my list here, and we offer numerous scholarships to help students afford college. These scholarships, while too many for me to mention specifically here, but they include automatic need and merit scholarships, as well as those privately funded by donors who wish to provide support and recognition for students for their academic achievement and leadership skills. We are very grateful for all of these scholarships because they really do make a difference in the lives of our students. I want to mention textbook affordability really quick. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but this is another unit within the Division of Student Affairs. And the bookstore has been working hard to provide course materials at the most reasonable prices possible. They have a very robust textbook rental program, and they're really active in the inclusive access space. We call that program here Streamlined. It provides online course materials to students upon registration at a reduced price. And of course, the bookstore also is Bearware Central. I think we've gotten really good at getting the campus community to wear Bearware on Fridays and to show their spirit and tradition. Now, on the other side of this slide, I have pictures of sporting activities because I want to talk a little bit about club sports that are facilitated through campus recreation and are housed in our Foster Recreation Center. We have a very active teams that represent MSU in everything from archery to ice hockey, handball to water skiing, and more. These clubs often receive financial support from generous alums and friends, and they couldn't function without this type of financial support. So I want to thank everyone who's helped us out in this area. I also want to brag for a moment on our students because they work really hard and do a great job representing our school through intramural and club sports. As a matter of fact, our intramural basketball team just competed and won the NURSA National Championship, which was recently held and in Wichita, Kansas. Now, finally, on my list of exciting initiatives, I want to talk a little bit about the fraternity and sorority life community. FSL here at MSU is home to 32 chapters and over 2,500 students. And as we all know, membership in fraternity and sorority life provides opportunities to develop leadership skills, serve the Springfield community, and build lasting friendships. During the time of the Onward Upward campaign, we have rechartered 6 fraternities and will be adding 2 IFC groups on campus this fall. We rechartered 1 sorority, Tri Sigma, back in 2013, and we added Alpha Omicron Pi in 2016. Regarding the NPHC chapters, we welcomed Sigma Lambda Gamma as the first multicultural Greek organization in 2019, and we'll welcome back to campus Omega Psi Phi in the fall. I included some fun facts here about the FSL community because it is pretty impressive. Our all FSL grade point average is a 3.22, which exceeds the all campus grade point average of a 3.16. Last year, we had 651 members of FSL chapters who earned a 4.0. Our members completed a total of 13,700 community service hours, and 3,100 of those hours happened during Greek Week alone. The FSL community also donated $278,835 to philanthropic initiatives. So that's worth celebrating, I think. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about some new and continuing initiatives and priorities, things that I hope you'll be hearing about today and in the future. So I want to share a little bit about each of these things on my list. And I'm going to start first with URSA, the Maroon and White Overnight. URSA is a 3-day, 2-night adventure. Both first-year and transfer students admitted for the fall are invited to attend. And through this experience, students build friendships, they learn and participate in traditions, they discuss and think deeply about our public affairs mission, and of course, they make memories that last a lifetime. I am very proud of this program, and I'm proud to say that MSU is the only school in the state of Missouri and one of only a handful of schools in the entire Midwest that offer this type of engagement camp. You may have seen crowdfunding about URSA because each year we try to raise money to help provide financial scholarship support for students that can't afford to participate otherwise. Now, next up is our new Esports space in the Plaster Student Union. If you're like me, this concept might be unfamiliar. I do have to tell you, I've learned a lot about this from our students, though, recently. And the need that they have for space to compete in this realm. Esports is short for electronic sports and is a form of competition using video games. Our current esports team on campus has over 300 students on the roster and growing. So it's pretty popular. We're currently building out space in the PSU to provide our team a space to compete and a space for our general students just to hang out and to participate. This space should be finished this summer. On my slide, you can see a work in progress on the bottom corner, and you can see the schematic of the computer stations that will fill out the space on the left-hand side. In the future, we hope to be able to get a coach for our team and to offer scholarships for students to participate. Next up is Camp Claw. Camp Claw is a new adventure planned through the Foster Recreation Center, and it will provide summer fun for kiddos aged 6 through 12. It'll also provide leadership opportunities for our current students who will work with the program. It'll be held for 8 weeks over the summer, starting June the 6th, and there'll be weekly themes and lots of fun activities. Now, this one is something we've been talking about for a while. It's our new residence hall, which will open in the fall. This is a partnership with a friend of the university's, Brian Majors. He is building it, and then we will buy it upon completion. The building is 7 stories. The first 4 stories are covered parking, and the top 3 stories are living space. So we'll have 400 additional beds available. This building will offer students single-user private bathrooms and has great shared community spaces. It's going to feature a dining center and a retail space on the first floor. It's been a long time in the works, and we're just super excited now that we're going to have students living in this building in the fall. Now, this one is hot off the press and has to do with the Wyric Fund. The Wyric Fund was initiated in 1983 to allow students to participate in the improvement of the university through innovative programs. So each year, students vote on a project or projects that they'd like to see on campus. This year, students voted to construct pillars of the public affairs mission on campus. So this is a schematic of the pillars. They're going to be placed in the North Mall behind the Bear Claw stage, right outside of Majors Health and Wellness Center. And construction of these pillars will begin this summer. Another new initiative involves our counseling center and the JED Foundation. As you probably know, student mental health is an important topic. So we've been working with the JED Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that helps institutions put systems, programs, and policies in place to create a culture of caring that supports student mental health. So through the work that we're doing with JED, we'll kick off a stepped care model in the fall, which will offer various types of mental health support, including online resources, group therapy, outreach programming, and peer support, in addition to the one-on-one counseling we already offer. This is a new approach. I'm not sure what we're going to call it, but it should help us reach even more students than we have before. Now, also on my slide here, I have leadership programs, non-academic scholarships, and multicultural programs on the list, because we all know that these continue to be important priorities for us to focus on throughout the year. And these are areas that we've had a lot of interest and support from alums in the past, whether it's volunteering time, mentoring students, or helping financially. We really appreciate it. Goodness, I've talked a lot, and I'm sure you can tell that I'm quite passionate about the student experience here at Missouri State. At this point, I want to show a very quick video which highlights our Welcome Week this year. But it also shows some of the many functional areas that we work with through the Division of Student Affairs. And it also showcases what a truly great job that I get to have, having the opportunity to work with such talented and enthusiastic students. So enjoy the video.
Welcome to Missouri State!
Good luck moving in today.
Here we go!
Yeah, yay! Nice meeting you.
Call your moms! Call your moms!
David Hall to the rescue!
Welcome Week 2021! We're so glad you're here!
How you doing?
Go Bears!
Don't just shell out. Shell out.
Let's go!
Ready?
Out to you there for sure.
Hope you are having a great welcome weekend, and go Bears.
All right, that was kind of fun. Here's my contact information. I want to point out that Student Affairs has a blog where we post our 5 things people need to know each week. Oftentimes there are more than 5, but anyway, you can follow us through our website. You can follow me or Student Affairs through Twitter or Facebook. Anyway, I hope you'll stay connected with us. And Greg, at this point, I will turn it back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Siscoe, and thank you very much for that presentation. Very informative, and the scope of work that is under your purview is immense. And I'll start with a couple questions that I have generated from your presentation. And by all means, folks on the call, by all means, you're welcome to start your typing in your questions, and we'll get to them in a minute. Dr. Siscoe, being a bear, can you kind of paint the picture for what student affairs, or what it was called when you were a student, and how it's evolved to today? And what is it like? And did you have students at the time when you were here? And was that the position that was that had oversight? And how has this is a layered question, clearly. How has pedagogy been included in the mission of student affairs? I guess speaking about the evolution from when you were a student to where we are today.
Well, that's a great question, Greg. You know, I often tell people that my experience here as an undergraduate laid the foundation which I've built my career upon. You know, I am a Sigma Kappa. I was actively involved in the FSL community. I was a SOAR leader. I lived in residence life. I was involved in SGA, and all of those experiences provided me with leadership development and training that I've been able to use throughout my career. Now, I have to be honest, you know, when I was an undergrad, I didn't know that there was such a thing as student affairs. I mean, I hate to sound naive, but Dean Bickle, who was here at the time, she was the advisor to the sorority program and worked with us with SOAR. And I thought she just liked us. I didn't know this was her job. I didn't know she got paid to do this. I just thought, you know, hey, we were pretty awesome and she liked spending time with us. So it wasn't until after I graduated from here and went to the University of Florida that I realized that this was a career path I could follow. So, you know, I kind of say that to set the stage, but over the years, you know, student affairs has really evolved. There is an understanding in the work we do that we really support and complement the academic program. I told you our vision is that we're champions for student success because we know that it's important that we help students to stay in school. So whether it is through the health center when they get sick, they're able to continue with classes, or whether it is being involved in intramural sports or some student organization where they can make friends and gain a sense of belonging. Those are really important components that help students stay in school so that they can ultimately graduate. Mm-hmm. So our profession has evolved a lot over the years. I teach a whole class on this in the SAHI program, but I'll end there.
Okay, thank you. Michelle Mulder says, excellent presentation, love the video.
Thank you.
Scott Carter chimes in and says, student affairs does so much, but what are the new areas in which it still needs to grow?
Well, I told you about a lot of areas that we're focusing on, and I would say those are important. I didn't talk a lot about our enrollment management functions, but here at the university, we're spending a lot of time talking about enrollment. And what all is involved in that. We have a new strategic plan for the university, a strategic enrollment management plan, which outlines how we're going to best recruit the students for our future. COVID gave us a little bit of a hiccup. It's caused us or created opportunities for us to think about things a little bit differently. And so we're putting a lot of focus in who we're recruiting and admitting to be future bears and how we're best helping to support them so that we can retain them so they ultimately graduate. So I think, you know, priority areas of emphasis in addition to what I listed would be admissions and retention.
Okay. Question here. Thank you, Dr. Siscoe. And question from Ethan Sykes, who asks, aside from the health center, how has MSU supported students through COVID? And did you see a decrease in engagement? Are there any challenges you anticipate moving forward?
Yes. So, you know, COVID did create many challenges for us here at the university and for our students. We found that many students did not have the ability to do online classes at home. And so we had to jump into gear and try to create opportunities for students to get those resources when everything was online. You know, COVID also did something really good for us. Look at today's program. Before COVID, we wouldn't have done this kind of Zoom conversation probably. So we've learned a great deal about how we can utilize technology in ways to support students. So I think that's a positive that came out of the pandemic. Now, I can tell you that nationally, my colleagues and I spent a lot of time talking about student engagement and how, as a result of COVID, students maybe don't have the same experiences in terms of creating those interpersonal connections, because for 2 years they didn't have the opportunity to gather. So we're really having to spend some extra time thinking about how do we create an easy way for students to re-engage. And so I think that's a major priority that we're experiencing here at MSU, and that I know my colleagues around the country are talking about as well.
Sure. So this next question kind of blends into a little bit of what you just shared, Dr. Siscoe, and as it relates to retention, and we touched on this too in the previous question. What are some of the areas that Student Affairs does to impact retention? And is it engagement? Is that a key factor that you're seeing? Is the correlation to people staying on campus? Kind of hijacking your question there, but I was just curious if you see levels of engagement and that correlates into retention as well.
Absolutely. You know, I share this during SOAR when I meet with students and parents, but national research shows, and our data here on campus supports this, students who get involved in something outside the classroom within the first 3 weeks that they're on campus, they're more likely to feel connected to the campus. They're more likely to stay in school, and they're likely going to have higher grade point averages than students that don't. And so that connection can be any number of things. It can be joining a student organization. It can be living on campus and getting involved with their floor in the residence hall. It can be participating in a club or intramural sport. It can be working on campus in a student employment job, or any number of other things. But that connection is super important, because just in life, you know, we all want to feel like we belong. We want to have friends. We want to fit in. And so students who make that effort to connect and get involved are more likely to be successful here.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So we have 8 states of Bears registered to connect with you, Dr. Siscoe, for this presentation. So clearly folks across the country are excited to see what's happening on campus. Do you see, and what are some of the programs that maybe we can partner on together to bring alumni back to campus and to engage, whether that be through their Greek life experience, through their SGA leadership, or the like? What do you see as opportunities for alumni to come back and engage and continue their Bear for Life experience?
Absolutely. Gosh, there are so many ways that alums can engage with us. Let me just name a few. I mean, you talked about some, but in addition to that, you know, the Career Center often works with alums on things like mock interviews or resume reviews. And that's a great way that alums can partner with students and with us to help students. And so that interaction can be as little or as much as they're interested in. We also love to welcome back people during homecoming. Now, I know the Alumni Association does a good part of homecoming, but students do a great job during homecoming, and there are a plethora of events that are offered. Another example might be next week, we're hosting our multicultural graduation ceremony, and we have some alums coming back to help work with us on that program to congratulate people as they're graduating. So, you know, I could go on and on. There are a million ways that alums can get involved. And so that's why I pointed out the blog on the Student Affairs website, because we do post all of our upcoming events, and we love to have people work with us and to support and help us support the initiatives that we're doing. So if you see anything that interests you, just reach out to me and we'll get you connected.
Great, thank you. So Vonetta Ivy Medlock chimes in and says, we are seeing where students are prioritizing their mental health, even to the point of leaving school in some cases. How does Student Affairs help students achieve academic success while preserving their mental wellness?
Yeah, thank you, Ivy. That's a great question. And I mentioned earlier our new stepped care approach that we're going to kick off in the fall. That is a direct result of many people, well, many people across the country, but many people here on this campus having this very conversation. We know that mental health is a huge topic of concern and something that we need to be aware of. We have added recently 2 additional counselors to the counseling center to try to have more resources available. We are offering virtual counseling as well as in person to meet the needs of students and their comfort level. Like I said, we're going to have this new stepped care approach, which will allow us to reach out to more students, because not every student needs 8 one-on-one counseling sessions. Some students could benefit from interaction with peer counselors, maybe virtually or in person. Some people could benefit from educational workshops or online resources. So we're going to offer a variety of different avenues that students can get some care. We also have something called the Behavior Intervention Team, and that group on campus really works with students to provide care and concern when maybe something's going on that they need some extra support. That's run through our Dean of Students office, and the pro is that we have a great team of people working in that space. The con is that there's so much need for that group, because students do find that they're dealing with lots of challenging issues, and so we need to provide that kind of support.
Okay. Natasha Lancaster asks about the NPHC organizations, and have heard that the Divine Nine organizations are dwindling on campus. And just the one part of the question is this due to members graduating and recruitment efforts from the younger students haven't been part of or decided to become members of the NPHC organizations? And once an organization leaves campus, how do we go about recruiting the NPHC organizations back on campus of those organizations that may have left?
Great, thank you, Natasha. That's a great question, and I don't have all of the answers to that, but I can tell you that the National Panhellenic groups and whether or not they're recruiting on campus is largely dependent upon their national organization. And so I know we've had students who have been very interested in bringing back Alpha Kappa Alpha, for example, and we are interested in that as well. We just need to work with the national group. They need to agree to allow them to return to campus. So it's a partnership, and I would say the numbers are becoming smaller. This is an area that we are focusing more on. We need to figure out how to provide the best support so that students can stay in school and ultimately graduate. And so any ideas you have, Natasha, walk upstairs and talk to me about them.
Thank you. We will take you off the hot seat for a minute here, Dee.
Okay.
And we have a special guest with us this afternoon who joined us, our Vice President for Advancement and Executive Director of the Missouri State Foundation, Brent Dunn, who's joined us. Brent, this is our 10th conversation with the colleges. Please close us out.
Yeah. This is a promotional plug, but it's a very important one. It's great talking about student affairs, because usually those students that were involved in student activities are those that tend to continue to be involved for a lifetime. And Dr. Siscoe talked about homecoming. So if you don't have it on your calendar already, please put down October 28th and 29th. A special homecoming, one, because it's going to be a regular homecoming with the reunions, with the parade Saturday morning, with the Bearfest Village, the football game against Western Illinois at 2. But that evening in Great Southern Bake Arena, 7 o'clock, doors open, we are concluding, and it's a celebration of the Onward Upward campaign. That's a campaign raising $250 million for scholarships, for faculty support, for program support. And really it is to celebrate with our chairman of the campaign, who is John Goodman, probably our most well-known alum around the world. He will be here in person, along with musical guest artists that people will have heard of, the entire marching band, the entire grand chorus. lot of student entertainment, but it's going to be a very, very special hour show. And so please plug that in on your homecoming weekend things to do. We expect several thousand people to be in attendance, and it's basically showing what $250 million can do to change the university, not just structurally, but to allow more students to attend Missouri State, program support, a variety of things. So this is a plug. Please make sure that you're here for homecoming this year, the 28th and 29th.
Great. Thank you, Brent. As we wind down this conversation here with Dr. Siscoe, would like to just we just finished proofing the magazine that's coming out and will arrive in your mailboxes to the alumni out there in May. Please make sure you get that magazine. If you don't, let us know. That means we don't have your correct address, but in it we do talk about homecoming, so it will be throughout that magazine and all of the excitement that will be happening here in October. Also share about 2 positions that will align with the work that Dr. Siscoe is doing here on the alumni side, and we have 2 open positions right now. The Assistant Director for Student and Young Alumni Engagement, as well as the Assistant Director for College and Constituency Engagement. And in each of those positions, we will focus on our young and recent alumni, as well as students and the activities that happen, and making sure that folks know that when you graduate, you're a Bear for life. And it's not just you get your diploma and you're done, but there's opportunities to engage throughout the life, throughout all phases of life. And we're excited for these new positions in this constituency side. Dr. Siscoe talked about our Greek life experiences, as well as some of the work that's happening, for instance, in the Black Alumni Council and future councils that we will create. That role in particular will be working directly with these alumni groups in order to help grow engagement and invite folks back to campus and celebrate reunions or be involved with conversations just like this. So be on the lookout for new programs and initiatives coming your way in the future. Dr. Siscoe, again, we had 8 states of folks coming in, tuned in this afternoon to hear from you. Is there anything that we may have missed on this hour conversation with you that you'd like to share with the group?
Wow. Well, I don't think there's anything that we missed, but I do want to thank you very much for including me. I know the series was conversations with the colleges, and Student Affairs isn't quite a college, but we think that we're an important part of the university. And so we appreciate being included. And I would just say to those of you who tuned in, whether you're here in Springfield or somewhere else, we really would love for you to engage with us. Please reach out to me. Follow me on Twitter. I try to post things on there as well. It's at Dee Siscoe, but we can get you connected as much or as little as you'd like. And if you haven't been back to campus in a while, we'd love to show off some of the new spaces that I was highlighting, because we really have some wonderful spaces for students on campus. So we could tour you around if you like. So just let me know, zip me an email, or like I said, follow me on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Siscoe, and thank you again to everybody who tuned in this afternoon. We look forward to the end of the semester here in less than a month. We'll graduate over 3,000 Bears into the alumni community. And so again, appreciate your time, and we'll close with Go Bears.